Hello, friends and neighbors. Let's talk about a woman who was saved without ever audibly praying that we know of.
Welcome to A Word for Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Each Wednesday you will find Boggs Family Ministries is here with our host, Davy Boggs. Having you along with us is a wonderful addition. Now, let's enjoy together A Word for Wednesday.
Thank you, Brother Devin, and thank you for joining us on A Word for Wednesday. I really appreciate you taking time to stop and be with us. We're coming to you today from the Boggs Mobile. The church where we are has not been available to me today. I wanted to record outside, but it has been rainy. In fact, it's raining some right now. You may hear some of that in the background noise. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I said this a few weeks ago. I want to remind you that YouTube has been changing its policy on the content creator, allowing them not to run any videos before my video starts. They've changed that. They've taken that away from us. If they want to run a video before mine starts, they'll do it. I don't have anything to say about it anymore. So if that starts happening, I apologize for that. It may already be happening on some. They may even run videos during the video. Hopefully they're skippable and you can do that. They're taking those choices away from us. Just so you know, that's not my choice. Of course, I don't even get a choice on who advertises, what the advertisements are. So if you see something that you feel like would be inappropriate for our channel, I apologize for that. We don't get any choice in that matter. Thank you for understanding, and thank you for joining us. I spoke here on A Word for Wednesday in May and June, probably a couple of weeks, about God's impeccable timing, God's perfect timing. And in those episodes, I talked about Julius, a policeman in Nigeria, getting saved in an outdoor revival there, just out on the outskirts of Abeokuta, Ogun State. I talked in the next one about Bill Murray getting saved in an outdoor revival, a man who told me, I'm just an old drunk. I don't have nothing for God. And as far as I know, God doesn't have nothing for me, but we knew better. He attended one service and was saved. And 6 weeks later, he went to heaven. He had been diagnosed with cancer. God's perfect timing, putting all that together, years in the making. And I wanted to tell a story then, and I let it get away from me. So I'm going to go back to it now. I've been preaching some on that perfect timing lately, and I always think about this story. This story came about in a tent revival that I was preaching, and I told about how God brought everything together at the right time, at the right place for Bill Murray to be saved back in 2003. I told that story in the tent revival. And the pastor said to me, a dear friend of mine, he said, man, I've got a story for you. And I said, I want to hear it. He told me the story. It was so amazing. It was so God performed. I said, tell me that story again. I want to record it. And I recorded that story and kept it for several years. I've still got it somewhere, and just went back and listened to it over and over. I actually transcribed it so I make sure I tell the story like he told it. And I've told it all over, but I don't think I've ever told it to you. And this story is about a woman named Mabel. This pastor did not know Mabel, was not aware of her. But someone in his church requested prayer for her, saying that she was dying and was not a Christian as far as anyone knew, and was just asking the church to pray. And so this pastor and his wife were in town one evening the next week, and he told his wife, he said, you know, I think I need to go see Mabel. And so they went by the hospital. It was past visiting hours, and he went to the desk, found out where she was. He went to the nurse there on that floor, and he said, look, I'm a pastor, And I've just been in town. I wanted to stop and see Miss Mabel and told her last name. And she said, you're welcome to go. The family's not here right now, but you're welcome to go in there. He knew that they were going to be disconnecting her from life support very soon. In fact, it was the next morning. He and his wife walked in, talked to her. She did not respond. The machine was breathing for her. He asked her, please squeeze my hand if you can hear me. No response whatsoever. But he said, Mabel, I am pastor, and introduced himself, and this person has requested prayer for you, and I wanted to come and talk to you. They tell me that you are not a Christian and that you are preparing to die right now without a miracle. And I'd like to talk to you about Christ and the price he paid for our sin. I'd like to tell you about that. And he gave her a short version of the gospel, very plain, very direct, yet very simple. And then he said, now, Mabel, I'm going to pray with you, and I want you to pray with me. You may not be able to say it out loud. You're not acknowledging that I'm even in the room, but if you can hear me, I want you to call out to God as I pray with you. And he led this non-responsive person in the sinner's prayer. When he was finished, he said, now, Mabel, I'm going to leave. And then they left. They went home. They went to church the following Sunday. And the lady who had requested prayer for Mabel said, I have a testimony to give. And they said, yes, go ahead. And she said, I requested prayer for a lady last week, and the pastor realized I didn't tell her that I went and saw this friend of hers. So the woman's telling about this lady. Her family was there. I think it was daughters that were there with her, and they disconnected, the doctors disconnected the life support, took out the ventilator tube, whatever she had, and they were just waiting, the daughters just waiting for her to pass. And Mabel sat up in bed, and she said, an angel came into my room last night and told me how to be saved. And I prayed, and I'm saved, and I'm on my way to heaven, and I want you to go to heaven too. The daughters were just absolutely shocked. They knew nothing about a pastor visiting. In fact, obviously, Mabel didn't remember it was a pastor. She thought an angel had visited her, and in fact, he had, in the form of a man, a godly man who had a burden for souls, and told her how to be saved. She never prayed audibly that we know about, but she prayed, and God heard her prayer, and she felt the assurance of salvation. And after she made this statement, she leaned back into her pillow, and in only a little while, Mabel went to heaven instead of going to hell. Now that is a beautiful example of God's perfect timing. That is impeccable. A woman who's dying, gonna die the next day. They're going to remove the equipment. God sends a man with a message, and in that visitation, the master introduces himself to her, and she is in heaven today because of God's perfect timing. It is very, very possible that Mabel had never heard the gospel up to that point. It's very possible she had never been to church, never heard a message preached, maybe never read the Bible, and God gave her a chance at salvation right on time. Hallelujah. He may not come when you want him. He may not come when you think you need him, but he'll be there right on time. He's an on-time God. Yes, he is. I think I'll sing that tonight. Man, I love the message in that song and the message in that story. Now, if you know the gospel message and you have been running from God, now is the time to receive that message. Can we even imagine how many hundreds and thousands of people that die every day, every week, all around the world that do not get a last minute visit from a pastor, do not get a last minute visit from an angel because they have heard the message and rejected the message. Every time you say no to the message, you are pushing your opportunity to know Christ. You are pushing that opportunity away. Now is the perfect timing. Today is the right time for you to be saved. And today's the right time for me to tell someone about salvation. I want to tell someone about their opportunity to be saved. I want to tell them about a God that loves them. I want to tell them about the Father that loves them so much that he sent his only begotten Son for them, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Man, you talk about perfect timing. Now is the day to tell the story. Now is the day to spread the good news. Now is the day to receive the message of the gospel. Thank God for God's impeccable timing in our lives. That is my word for Wednesday. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Ciao for now.
That is our word for Wednesday. We are so glad that you've spent a few minutes with us today. If you've been touched by today's episode, please share it with your friends and family. We welcome your questions or comments below or by email. You can find the email address in the description, along with a link to Mile Markers, the website for Boggs Family Ministries. Also, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you again, and we hope to see you next Wednesday.